Live from the TechTalk studios in the nation's capital and the heartland of America. It's TechTalk.
Hey, it's Friday. It's time for Tech Talk. I'm Brad Koss, my co-host, Dr. Jay Greenstein. Jay, NDC, how's it going, man?
It's going great, brother. I'm super excited. I'm about to get my car and drive down to Virginia Beach, Virginia, and hang out with you and the rest of the peeps at the Unified Virginia Chiropractic Association convention this fall. So I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Virginia Beach, so I'm sort of excited to be there. And I'll join you. I owe you a birthday dinner, and maybe we can get together and do a common tech talk at the bar like we always talk, man.
Let's do it, man. I love it. Let's do it.
Hey, we've got a couple of friends, again, old friends that we've known for some time. And why don't you introduce them and let's get this conversation going.
I would love to. So first, ladies first, Liz Klein, who's the Executive Director of ChiroCongress, formerly known as the Congress of Chiropractic State Associations, also known as COXA. Right? Liz, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us be here.
Of course. And then Mr. Marc Abla, who is the CEO of the Illinois Chiropractic Society and also the Grand Poobah / chairman / king / man in charge of the Future of Chiropractic Strategic Plan Task Force. So Marc, good to have you, bro.
It's always great to be here. You guys are fantastic and incredible hosts. So
I think Marc's been on more than I have, Brad.
We're getting to know. We're going to have to. We're going to have a regular session. A regular session with Marc, updates with Marc.
All that matters is that I've been on. Yeah, all that matters is that I've been on more than Dr. Cindy Howard. That's the litmus test as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully she catches that. I just called her out. So
she when she sees this and be like, "All right, get me on now."
She did. She wanted to record it the other day when we saw her, and I told her, I said, "Hey, Marc's zoomed ahead of you. Let's go record it right now. What are you doing right now? In an hour. Let's do it." And she was all about joining and beating you, buddy. So I'm sure she's going to have a very interesting topic to try to elevate up against you. But that's great. We'll just have dueling Marc and Cindy. It's great for us. It's great for us, man.
It is. It's great for the audience, too. They get to hear great content from some of the leaders in our field. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. So, Liz, I know you're the ED at ChiroCongress, and Marc, the ED at Illinois. And how are you guys associated with each other? How does that come together? And I know that we're here to talk about a lot of different things today, and that we want to delineate a couple of those when we start talking about the strategic plan that's going on. And be sure that to delineate that that's going on for the entire chiropractic profession. But there's a lot of cool things that ChiroCongress does. Could you just take a minute and sort of go over ChiroCongress, what it is, what it does for its members, what it comes about? And we've got a convention coming up in November. I'm excited to be there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this, Marc, if you want. So ChiroCongress is the national association that partners with all of our state associations. They are our members, and so we work directly with the executive directors and the board of directors and provide a lot of resources and tools to support them so that they can support the doctors in the field and help everybody just to be successful. And it's an incredible network. It's a family, really, more than anything else. And when we get together in November, it's going to be about sharing, supporting each other, celebrating wins, providing resources when there's needed. We've been going through a lot this last year and a half, and the state associations have come together as teammates and provided each other resources to help make sure their doctors knew how to navigate all the crazy that's been going on. So I'm super blessed to be part of this group. Love working with Marc. Marc's on our team. He's a district director for District 2, and he has also been working hard on this strategic plan, which I will mention. The strategic plan, although It's been an effort that ChiroCongress has been so happy to champion and kind of provide a lot of resources, both financial and staffing, to get this plan off the ground. This is not a plan for ChiroCongress or about ChiroCongress. We're simply the cheerleading team and the support system to make it happen, along with about a bazillion amazing individuals like Dr. J and all these other leaders from across the country who have stepped up to help make it a reality. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Mark, you probably want to correct me if I'm wrong or add something fun.
No,
Well,
go
I'll tell you
ahead.
what, Brad. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, you got it. It's your call.
I was just gonna say, like Brad is one of those leaders as well. He's the co-chairman of the Chiro-Tech Consortium. So he's a chiropractic warrior, and even though he's not a chiropractor, he's out there fighting the battle for us every single day. Liz, I think it's important for the audience to understand, because a lot of people who are not involved in volunteer work and advocacy work don't really understand how large of a reach ChiroCongress has. So, we know essentially what the National Association membership is, not super high for either of the two largest associations. How many members is ChiroCongress reaching? How many doctors is ChiroCongress reaching?
Yeah, through our association, by default, if a doctor is a member of a state association who's a member of ChiroCongress, they get access to benefits that ChiroCongress has to offer, and that reaches about 35,000 chiropractors across the country.
Yeah, that's just amazing. And the influence that the state associations have locally and even nationally is just really important for the audience to understand. So thank you so much for sharing that. Liz, let's just dig a little bit deeper as to how you became the executive director of ChiroCongress. I think this is cool. So can you just share your story with everybody?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and put it in a nutshell. I grew up in chiropractic. My father was a chiropractor in Alaska, and he was one of the founding members of the state association in Alaska. So it's kind of cool to have that history. My parents couldn't have any more children, and they were told not possible, but my dad started getting chiropractic care, and I came along. 6 weeks later, they went to chiropractic college in Davenport. And so I literally grew up in the clinic and in the field of chiropractic. So it's my heart, my soul. Several years later, my path was led to an open position here with ChiroCongress, and fortunately had the opportunity to interview and get the position, which I again said I'm so blessed to be here. It's truly a labor of love for me, and and if you love something, it's really not labor. It's great fun, and I love these people. So can't say more about them. It's just amazing.
Well, they love you right back. You are amazing. I've never seen anyone herd cats as well as you do. Like, seriously. Like, you are just amazing. And you do it in a way, Liz, that, and the audience, if you're watching her or listening to her, you can probably tell she's just a really kind, caring, loving human being. But she gets the job done and still being loving and caring and kind. So it's a remarkable leadership style that you have, Liz. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and we appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's super kind. Same, ditto.
I've been going to the conferences for 6 or 7 years now, and for me, it's one of the top events for InfinEDI. Just because all of the people I need to talk to are there all together. But the thing that I notice is they do sort of seem like family. Everybody cares about each other. They're excited to be together. We do a lot of cool, fun events. On top of the educational things that go on, we get to spend time interacting during the day and at night. And it does seem like coming home at a family reunion and seeing people. So again, kudos to you for the events that you put on and what's going on.
Yeah, I can't wait for Phoenix.
Thank you. Yes, we're a little sad we had to move from Hawaii to Phoenix, but we're thankful that we were actually able to get together. And then in 2023, we will head to Hawaii. So we're going to make that happen.
Yeah, and speaking of being able to pivot quickly, I mean, what you did to turn a really challenging situation where we were not going to go to Hawaii into like, okay, we're going to go to Phoenix and this is how it's going to happen. And everybody, here's your registration and everything's in order. It's remarkable. So thank you for doing that, because to Brad's point, like, this is one of the highlights of my year. I love ChiroCongress, and so I just can't wait to see everybody.
Yeah, we have a great team that really worked hard to plan for that and make it happen. And Rachel, Dr. Wendt, is our chairperson, and she's been a great leader in all of this. And so we're grateful that we could do it, and we can't wait to see everybody there.
Yep, it's going to be awesome. Hey, Brad, when we get back from the break, can we start talking about the future of chiropractic strategic plan? I really think that the audience needs to know a lot more about that.
Let's do that. We can spend the whole next segment on that initiative and talk directly about that. I know that's part of the reason Marc's here. So let's take a quick break while we're at this point. You're listening to Tech Talk. I'm Brad Koss, my co-host, Dr. Jay Greenstein.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave Klein, co-founder and director of business development for PayDC, the chiropractic industry's leading developer of cloud-based integrated practice management software. PayDC is fast, easy, and affordable to use. PayDC will significantly help you improve your practice in 3 main areas. Number 1, it will help you reduce the amount of time needed for training. Number 2, it will help you increase your revenues, both from insurance companies and your patients. And number 3, the system is based on federal law, improving the quality of your documentation and helping you tell a better story of how you care for your patients.
This episode is sponsored by InfinEDI. In the modern age of electronic data interchange, InfinEDI is committed to helping clinicians get paid fast so that they can spend less time tracking claims and more times with patient. As a pro advocate for the healthcare industry, we create tools that make sense for electronic claim processing and business analytics. Couple that with superior support team, and we strive to ensure that your business is performing at its best. InfinEDI, committed to the future of claim processing.
Down.
Let's slow it down.
With the hot data jocks of talk. It's Tech Talk.
Okay. What's up, everybody? It is Tech Talk. This is like my 20th Zoom of the day and my second freaking podcast / Facebook Live. So I'm just like cuckoo. All right. Marc, Liz, Brad, so glad to be back from the break. I'm very excited to talk about the future of chiropractic strategic plan. This has been a long-standing project in the making, which started back in November of 2019. Marc, can you just share with the audience kind of how this all came about and, where we've been and where we are right now and also where we're going?
Yeah, I think really when we look back to 2019 and we look where we've talked so much about the different things that should happen, that could happen with the chiropractic profession and the incredible possibilities. We all know these things, but how do we get there, right? And what does that look like? And we've been talking a lot about that as a ChiroCongress board and leaders and leadership and as associations even. And ultimately what happened is we sat down and I'll never forget it. Actually, it was led by you, Dr. Greenstein, and also Dr. Foxworth, a day where we sat down and had a forum to say, all right, here's our problem. We know what it is. We don't have any direction. What does this look like for the profession? And then we hashed it out. We spent an entire day hashing it out with all kinds of leaders from around the country, different entities, different organizations, different state associations. And it was really it was a wonderful thing to come out and really summarized in a short segment that said, we need a plan. We need something to give the profession direction. And what needs to be a well-defined strategic plan that takes us into the future.
Yeah, it was a remarkable weekend. We had the summit meeting just before that. There was a very same conclusion really that came out of that meeting as well. But I think one of the key differences between years past and what happened in November of 2019 is that everybody agreed that not only did we need a plan, but we needed professionals to help us build the plan. Where previously, we'd done some exercises in the summit and yes, with some marginal results here and there. Certainly with 2706, that was different. There were great results. Everybody worked together to achieve that goal. But when it came to like strategic planning beyond that, it just didn't really flow or work very well. But when we all agreed, like we're gonna be pros about this, we're gonna grow up and be like a real profession, and we're gonna hire outsiders to help us build this. That was a pivotal point in our history and in our future. So Liz and or Mark, feel free to just talk about, from that point, what's transpired, and then, maybe someone else can talk about like what's next. So either one of you, feel free to comment.
I think one of the things, and you touched on it, Jay. I think it's also really important to know, it wasn't just that we hired a professional to help us and guide through this process. We went through this vetting process, and what we discovered is there really were going to be three primary components that we had to address, right? We had to know what the data is. We had to know what the profession wanted as a whole. And the leaders can come in and have thoughts and ideas, but really, what are the doctors at the practice level, what do they believe we need? What are the researchers that are doing research on a regular basis? What do they believe? And then also, what do the leaders think? And then how can we look at all of these things, put it together, and formulate kind of that starting basis point? We needed somebody to help us with that. Then we needed somebody to help us kind of guide the entire process as a whole. And then, let's be honest, a plan that just is a plan, sits on a shelf, does nothing, doesn't help a profession, doesn't help an organization either. In this case, we needed some way to get home, right? And so we needed somebody to help us through the implementation process. And really what the leadership team at that point decided was we need three different entities to help guide this process to make sure that we see it through to the end. And that's what we did. We hired three different entities for those three different purposes.
Liz, were you surprised that the three different entities, and we interviewed a lot of people, and you went through, I don't know if you know how many RFPs. I mean, like you busted butt, and we all participated in some way, shape, or form, but you were the lead on this. And when finally we got down and we all agreed, and it was a great idea. I think it was Chris Dowell who was one of the like leaders of this concept of like, hey, why not do all three? I think Ray Foxworth also like mentioned it. Did you think that was going to happen? And if so, like, did you think it was going to be smooth? And like, tell us about your thought process and then what we experienced.
Well, I think for me, I'm kind of the eternal optimist. And so I looked at it as, an opportunity, right, to bring the best of the best to the table and make something amazing happen. So really going into the negotiations with each of these groups and explaining, why we were looking at doing this really sort of unusual approach to the strategic plan project. And once they heard, why we thought it needed to be done this way and how important it was to the profession to do it right, they all really got on board. And was it always easy? No. Was it always smooth? Not necessarily. But I will say, for bringing three groups in who are normally competitors and asking them to work together, it really ended up being the best outcome I think we could have had for this project from beginning, well, not to end, but from phase 1, phase 2, and now in phase 3, which is our implementation phase. So sometimes the hard things are worthwhile, right, to make that happen. And it was, I think, the best thing we could have done for this profession was to approach it like that. So kudos to everybody on the team who liked that idea, who supported that idea, and to our awesome facilitators who jumped on board.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable experience so far.
It has been. And
Definitely.
do you feel like now that your leaders have been defined, and to me, they've clearly come out, do you think people are beginning to adopt this and jump on board with you and start this train down the track so it implements correctly and that more people will actually get involved in the initiative that you're trying to do? Do you feel like you're at that point?
Yeah, Mark, I think you should answer this one and maybe even share a little bit about, some of the good news we got today about people paying attention.
Yeah, I think all of that's important. I also want to clarify, just for the listeners who may not be aware, what's happening, how this process has gone. We did the massive data collection and analysis and think tanks and one-on-one interviews. And then we had task force designed and set set kind of words and direction to the overall plan. And really, there's a 4-pager, and you should go check it out. I think it's really important to take a look at. It's open, it's transparent, it's all of those things. We're now in that implementation phase. So we can look at this plan, but we really have got to find a way to make it happen. And I think that's the exciting part. That's kind of where we're at. We have defined kind of the leaders in the role, because, any good process is going to have people that drive home these things. And so we've got these work groups that are established specifically around the individual long-term goals of the strategic plan, who are looking at everything in 90-day windows. And let's get this 90 days done and accomplish these tasks. And then, okay, we've done this. What's the next? What's the next? What's the next? And so there is a very specific process that's been defined, because we want to make sure that we continue, just to use a football analogy, to do what I wish Ohio State couldn't do, which is just to march the ball down the field again and again and again. Until we get home. Yeah, sorry. It's coming from a Nebraska fan. I hate Ohio State. So.
Sorry, bro. They looked pretty good last week.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned something that's really important, Mark, and that's the idea around how important execution is, and that, there are so many people that are working, to your question, Brad, there are so many people that are working towards, as you're one of them, working towards execution of these goals. And it's not easy. And there are challenges that we face and goals that we have that some are more immediate than others, and some are going to take additional resources that we're going to have to find, even financial resources. But at the end of the day, I do believe that as more and more people know about it, we're going to have more and more buy-in, because it has been so transparent. And by the way, you can go to the ChiroCongress website and see all of the reports. You can see the phase 1 report, phase 2 report. You can get updates for phase 3. Everything is transparent. And I know that you guys got some good news today. So can you share it with the audience?
Yeah, just to be really clear, the number of different people that are involved in the process, not just as individuals, not just as organizations, but also who are putting their money, if you will, into the project, because it's going to take quite a bit to take this thing home. And it's not just being spent frivolously. It's really being very specifically targeted to make sure that we achieve the goals that are laid out inside the plan. But you've got MBCE, you've got different state associations, you have some of the long-term supporters of chiropractic from a business standpoint, but you even have groups that randomly call. Liz, you had somebody call you today and actually pledge $25,000, right, over the next 5 years.
Brad, that was so nice of you.
Well, I'm sure I'll be giving some in some way or another, but I doubt it. I doubt
that was me today, buddy.
Yeah.
And we have really worked hard to make sure that transparency, inclusion, collaboration, it stays at the forefront of everything we do with this plan. And Dr. J's right, everything is available online, and we encourage people to go up there and learn more about it.
I just want to say that I think diversity is an appropriate word as it relates to just what's happened with the plan and its participation, because we have chiropractors from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, from all philosophical constructs, all areas of chiropractic research, education, vendor support, clinicians, state leaders, national leaders, to Marc's point. So diversity, I think, is the operative word that really defines where we are and where we've been and where we're going.
I think it's great. The simple fact that people are starting to move, to come together. I've been preaching in my lectures for the last 10 years for people to come together, change the world, do something different to make the situation better. Even if it's a tiny something, that's moving a step forward. And it looks to me like you're moving a lot of steps forward. I hope this ball can continue to roll down the hill, that it gains momentum, and that it just sucks people up and brings them into the motion where it just happens. You'll find new donors at that. You'll find new businesses that want to contribute. You'll find success if the current leaders and the new leaders come on to make it successful. There's no doubt. I'm going to mention it every time I'm in front of an audience. Every podcast that we have, I'm going to mention it just because I believe it's that important of a task that you're doing. And kudos to all of you that's making this happen. So with that, guys,
well,
let's
we are doing it because you're doing it too.
I know, but
I'm
just one of those tiny little steps and pieces is all I am. Listen, let's take a quick break. You're listening to Tech Talk. I'm Brad Cost, Dr. Jay Greenstein. Our guest today, Miss Liz Klein and Marc Abla. Marc, thank you for joining us today. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Jay Greenstein.
This is Jay Greenstein.
With me today is Dr. Jay Greenstein.
Dr. Jay Greenstein.
The world around us, and healthcare specifically, is changing at an exponential pace. Chiropractic is perfectly positioned like we have never been right now today to be more successful and to be more impactful for the communities and patients that we serve. There are all sorts of evidence-based guidelines that support the use of non-pharmacological approaches. But what I want America to know is that health doesn't come from a pill. It's our responsibility as healthcare providers to educate the community about the evidence that exists. We really need to have a private practice app, something that will help us engage with our patients in ways that they've never experienced before. The intersection of technology and quality care is where the future of healthcare is at, and I'm really excited to bring that forward in the future.
As a ChiroHealth USA provider, we're excited to work with you to identify which of your discounts are good, bad, or illegal. Most chiropractors bend over backwards to make their care affordable. Unfortunately, dual fee schedules, false claims, inducement violations, and time of service discounts can all put you at risk. And, no offense, everybody's doing it doesn't work with auditors. At ChiroHealth USA, we're here to help protect and grow your practice. Just listen to our provider stats. 20% overall practice growth versus 2019. Over 50% of CHUSA patients renew their membership year after year. Over 2,500 patients per month use our provider search directory to find a CHUSA provider. At ChiroHealth USA, our purpose is simple. It's to improve the quality of life for our doctors, their teams, and their patients. With over 5,000 providers and nearly 1 million patients, ChiroHealth USA is the network that works for chiropractic. For more information, call 888-719-9990 or visit www.chirohealthusa.com.
Listen to the future of healthcare with the data jocks of talk. It's Tech Talk.
We're back. It's Tech Talk. Brad Cost, Dr. Jay Greenstein. We're here today with a couple of great friends talking about ChiroCongress, talking about the strategic plan that's going on, the technology that went into doing some of that. But I sort of, over break, was thinking a little bit about Marc. Marc really serves from a totally different perspective as a state executive director. So, Marc, could you just take and step away from the roles that you serve at ChiroCongress, but how does it affect you? How do you see from the Illinois ED, how do you see ChiroCongress serving you, your docs, and what it means to you at that state level?
Yeah, so ChiroCongress really, I think it's probably the best kept secret in the chiropractic profession. I think most doctors don't even realize the impact that ChiroCongress has on them, especially on their state associations. I mean, it exists to equip and empower our states. In short, Liz and ChiroCongress, they make me better, right? As an executive director, as the CEO of the Illinois Chiropractic Society, but they make the Illinois Chiropractic Society better. And as an extension, then they make our doctors better. Simply because of the resourcing of information, of different member benefits. But really, it's enabling us to better serve our members, which is why they exist, why ChiroCongress is there. And I mean, I've been a part of ChiroCongress as far as just being a member and being able to be a part of receiving the benefits for a lot longer than what I've been in any kind of leadership role with ChiroCongress. And it's been really a tremendous time, because they do incredible work in resourcing. And again, they're just probably the best kept secret in chiropractic.
You know, I think a lot of folks, you know, the docs out there in the field, and I get it, they're busy, they're working on their practices, and something happens, something goes wrong, and they get all pissed off, you know, and like, oh, the state association is not doing anything. Why should I join my state association? They have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I'm going to be like the Cal Ripken of F-bombs, by the way. At least once in a podcast, you'll hear me drop an F-bomb. But I'm like, if they're not happy, if you're not happy as a doctor out there in the field, then get involved in your state association, because the only reason why state associations can't do more is because they don't have the resources, the human resources, the financial resources to do more than they're already doing. There's so many states that are busting their asses, working their tails off, volunteering their time, and they're doing everything they can. So if you're not happy about something, then do something about it. Don't just bitch. Do something about it. Get involved. Donate to your PAC. Do something. Okay, my rant is over.
That's great, buddy. No, I think that's great.
It pisses me off. I'm like,
well, everybody can contribute something, Jay. Everybody can contribute,
right.
Even if it's just serving on a committee. It doesn't always have to be money. Contribute out time, contribute out your opinions. That's how you change the world, and you got to do that, Mark.
Exactly
I thank you from that perspective, because I believe almost every state would come back and say almost exactly the same thing. And today, partly because of COVID, but state associations are struggling. I mean, they're struggling because everything's had to go to virtual. You just came off a fairly successful conference this last weekend yourself, but it's different than it was even 2 or 3 years ago when we were in normal times. People feel a little disassociated from that. And this is the time that everybody needs to come together. Everybody needs to take that step forward. Everybody needs to hold hand and fight the good battle, because things are changing in healthcare. Things are changing a great way. Don't you agree, Jay?
Yeah, I
do, but I want to hear what Marc was going to say.
Yeah, I think you said it. Both of you said, that ChiroCongress and the events and that type of a deal, it's like a family, right? And I think the beauty of that isn't just because we get together and have a good time. That's not it at all. I think a family are the people that you can ultimately rely on when whatever's happening. The pandemic, COVID, all of the changes, and we could keep going about all the different challenges that the profession is facing, and bluntly that our members as individuals are facing as a result of the pandemic as well. And all of those things come into play. But when we get together, there are always, as far as state associations, we know that there is one resource, and we have our brothers and sisters that are doing the same thing in our states next to us and across the country. And what bands us together is ChiroCongress. It becomes a family because we share in these experiences, but we can also then share the wealth of resources that each of us have. It's kind of what we do as a family, right? It's what you do with your family. They're the people that you can rely on when things go south. And I think that that's the beauty in all of this. And I think that, Jay, thank you. I appreciate it. I love when our doctors get passionate about the membership in their state association, because bluntly, we could do more. We could have a greater impact for the profession. We could help fund more projects like the Future of Chiropractic Strategic Plan that really is going to help bolster the profession as a whole. I can't imagine what this is going to look like. I mean, both you and Brad, you and Jay both are serving as a part of this too. And I think you've kind of downplayed your role, but it's this group that's kind of this eclectic group called the Chiro Tech Consortium. But in essence, what it is, it's kind of going to be the technology glue that's going to help us hold this whole thing together, that help the research committee with better information. And so from a state association perspective, all of the things that are going to come out of the plan, all of the things that come out of ChiroCongress and your volunteer efforts individually too, as the hosts here, but also and as a part of the project, is going to be tremendous and help us bolster the profession, which makes us stronger as a state association, which in turn then makes the profession stronger. So,
amen.
Yeah,
well said.
That made sense. Yeah.
No, well said, man.
Yeah, and I think it's like a stepladder. I don't want to lower the state association, because it really is the at-home need. And it's typically those same leaders that are stepping up at the national level. And it's just this elevation, bringing it together at a state level. And then as we're fighting these big battles, bringing it together at a national level. And that's a very important tie to everything that's done. And again, that's part of the reason when I denoted the family, it was because they are coming together. They do rely upon each other. They do talk state to state. And that is a cool thing for me to see, as a vendor, as a human being, and as a speaker that talks about helping and bringing things together. So I greatly appreciate both of you in doing that. Liz, let's get back to you for just a second. Tell us a little bit about you. We try to get to understanding. We've talked to Marc several times, but tell us about you personally. What about your family? Tell us a little bit about your family, where you live, and what's happening in your life today.
Oh, well, I'm in a little rural community outside Portland and just nestled up against the foothills of the Cascades. Mount Hood's about 50 miles from my house. So it's a beautiful, beautiful valley area, lots of agriculture, rivers, everything. I have a couple daughters. They're 26 and 27, and one's a flight attendant for Delta, and one's a HVAC rep, and my husband is working from home for the last year, and we don't want him to go back in the office. So one of the great things about pandemics is you learn you can work with your spouse. Some of us do anyway, and really enjoy having a better quality of life, not having him on the road all the time. So that's just a little tidbit personally. My daughter was a Duck, so I'm sorry when we talked about Ohio, I was thinking about the game a couple weeks ago and go Ducks, and I had to do my
Oregon
You're
Ducks.
killing me, Liz. You're killing
man.
me. You make Marc happy though, but you're killing me.
Yep. So we have a little duckling in the family, but So what else would you want to hear about me? I told you a little bit of my history and work in the chiropractic profession in the past. So.
Yeah, that's great. And now I didn't know you were from Alaska. I didn't know you were from Alaska. That explains the connection with Sherry and Deb there. So and I love Alaska.
Right, yeah.
I love Alaska. I look forward. They came up to us at FCA after the national and said, Brad, you and Jay have got to commit to do the podcast next year at Alaska. So hopefully we can get there and make that happen from there, because they're two fun ladies, and they make conferences a great time also. So that's great. And Marc,
I think to go. I'm just going to say.
We're going, Liz. Don't worry. We're going.
And Marc,
you got to get the crab legs, I was going to say.
That's right. That's right.
I know the bar to go to. I've introduced several people to fresh Alaskan crab legs there. Marc, and you got to understand, probably the Oregon Ducks hate Oklahoma University as much as you do.
And I hate them a lot. So here's what you got to do. Here's what I want to know. You guys need to ask Liz. You got to ask Liz, when she was a little kid, when she had a choice after school to go home and play video games or whatever at home, or go and sit in the clinic. You should ask her what she did.
Liz?
Well, we didn't have video games back when I was a child, Marc, so thanks very much for making me feel younger than I am. But I was the kid that liked to ride the bus to the clinic and go help work at the clinic and do whatever I could. I loved it. So that's my little secret. And my big sis, Debbie Ryan, she's the ED of Alaska's society. So, she was always there for me, helping me. When I was a kid, we're about 8 years apart in age, and she was always there too to hang out at the clinic and do things.
That's great. You got chiropractic in your blood, girl.
In our blood. There are a lot of chiropractors in our family. Thank goodness.
I love it.
Well, guys, thank you for spending time with. Go ahead, Marc. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you guys nailed it earlier, and I think, Dr. J, you hit it well when you said that Liz does an amazing job herding the cats, right? But I think she is a tremendous leader, and she does it with some incredible grace and poise. She brings a pretty cool dynamic to ChiroCongress, and I think ChiroCongress has matured greatly under her leadership. And so I just want to give her kudos too. She is great to work with, both as a state association, just as an exec CEO, but also in leadership and serving those capacities. She's been tremendous. So.
Well, thanks, Marc. And as I've always said, this is a team of leaders, and everybody is amazing how invested they are in this organization, in the state associations, and their doctors in the profession. And I would say the coolest thing for me in this process with the strategic plan is just learning how much we agree on, and that we have really been able to identify that we agree on more than we disagree on as a profession. And if we focus our energies and our passion around those things, we can take this profession to levels that we can't even understand right now. So we just need to kind of keep fighting that good fight and focusing on those things that we know are going to make this profession even greater than it already is.
I love it, Liz, and I would even argue it's when, not if, right? It's when.
When.
We're going to do it. And I just want to say one last thing about state association involvement, which is, anybody who's ever been involved in doing advocacy work, they can tell you, and I will tell you, you get so much more out of it because you build these relationships, you build these friendships, you have this new incredible tight family that Marc was describing earlier. You just get so much out of it. So put a little work in, put a little effort in, do something, donate, put some time in, do something where you can support the state associations, because we need you now more than ever. So please get involved, and I promise you, if you get involved and you do it the right way, you put your heart into it, you will get 10 times more out of it than what you put in.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. Hey, Liz, can you quickly give us the URL for the strategic plan, and then for ChiroCongress also? Can you give us the URL so people can know to go where to look for that?
You can go to Chiropractic Future. chiropracticfuture.org. We are actually in the process of developing a whole new website and set up for the strategic plan off of ChiroCongress's website. But if you end up at chirocongress.org, you can also go to the strategic plan through there. So a couple different ways to get there.
That's great. Well, Jay, it was an exciting weekend last weekend for football, buddy. How did you think your team did?
You know what? They played great. They played Rutgers, and I thought that was going to be a tough game because they played Michigan tough, but we stomped all over them. And then this week we go to my alma mater. Actually, people are like, "Why are you an Ohio State fan?" Because you went to Maryland. Like, well, I was a huge Maryland basketball fan, but my mom was an Ohio State fan, so I grew up before I ever went to college being an Ohio State fan. So that's how that happened. So my favorite football team in college plays my favorite, the same school that is my favorite basketball team, University of Maryland. So that's what I'm up for, and it's 12 noon, Brad, and you know exactly where I'm going to be when that game starts.
Yeah, we've got to do that because we've got to watch O State play a little ball too. So, and we're now 5-0.
Yeah, who do they play?
I knew you was going to ask me that. I'm not quite sure who they're playing this weekend, but we're now 5-0, and we've moved up to, I believe, 12th in rankings. And the Cowboys are starting to look like the Cowboys, and so I'm excited for them. The temperature of the game was so much better Saturday. Everybody was excited, and it carried all the way down to that last minute. We had a stupid play. We came back, recovered from it. It was, the last minute and 20 seconds, we were on the 3-yard line kind of thing. 4th down kind of a moment, and we had to move the ball like 6 inches, and everybody thought it was going to go 6 inches, but they went right into the end zone. We scored and closed the deal. So it was an exciting game. We had a great time this weekend. It was a great game. Anyway, go Oregon Ducks. Go Ohio State, go Nebraska, and go Oklahoma State. Guys, thank you very much for spending the hour with us today. I greatly appreciate each of your times. People are going to love listening to this. I hope they go to the website. If you're there, go out and look at it. A lot of people are working very hard to make this successful. You need to be one of those people, so join it. From myself, Brad Koss, Dr. J. Greenstein, have a good day.
See y'all.
Come on! And the data doc of talk, it's Tech Talk.